welcome everybody. This is Get Real with Chris and Mark, and today we have a guest to hang out with. And you want to introduce our guest, Mark?
You gonna throw me under the bus?
No, it's BJ Hall. Everybody knows BJ, right?
That was no pressure. Yeah. No pressure.
Today we have Mr. BJ Hall, president of Reach Back and Lift One, which you also call Rebel One.
Rebel One.
I like that.
That's
so. So tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do.
Rebel One, Reach Back and Lift One, is a nonprofit that was started by myself and my mother. My mom, she grew up. Well, we both grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and one of the things that she noticed, because she grew up in a house of with 8 kids and a mother with a 4th grade education. So she didn't really have a lot of resources to help her make it out of the situation, because she grew up in a lot of poverty in we would call it rural Alabama. It was Bessemer, Alabama, if you're familiar, right outside of Birmingham. But there was a friend of hers that gave her some resources to help her get into the University of Alabama, Birmingham, where she got into the nursing program. Mm-hmm. And she linked up with a few people to help mentor her and pull her through, and she became a registered nurse, and she started growing from there.
Right.
She recognized the necessity of having mentorship or having someone that can connect you to resources that can help you earn a living wage or become successful in life, and a lot of people just don't have that access.
Right. So
she came up with the idea in the 90s. Actually came up with the name in the 90s, but she was too busy raising this big head boy from Birmingham, and when I didn't really have the time either, but I as a gift to her, I went and filled out the paperwork, and we're just going to grind it out until we grow this into something that can really be something to talk about.
Cool. Very cool. Well, it is already, because we're talking about it.
We're talking about it right now.
Right?
Oh my God,
that's exactly right.
That's
Let
exciting.
me call Mama.
Yeah, right.
So
Mama, we made it.
Hopefully she'll tune in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So you said you have some mentorship programs going on right now, right?
Roger that. Right now, the program that we have running right now, it's a Southern Maryland Youth and Aviation program. It's a partnership with the East Coast chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen. And we're also working with Ken Reed from the airport. Mr. S. Hunt Arrow. Well, he's Mr. St. Mary's County Airport.
Right.
So, but he's been helping us out with getting connected us with resources.
That's awesome.
Aviation resources here in the area. We also have Jim Alexander, who's been our instructor for the past 2 years. Last year we had kind of a I hate to call it a pilot, but that's really what it was. We had our initial run of the program, and we had a small group of kids. We had 6 kids in level 1, and level 1 is familiarity with the aviation industry. We talk about the Tuskegee Airmen. We had a reenactor come down and teach a lot about some of the famous people, the famous airmen that went through the program. Then we actually used some of the resources that we have here, the aviation resources that we have access to here. So we went to the museum, we went to the UAS, the unmanned aerial site over here, the test site here at the airport with the University of Maryland. Right. We worked with Air Tech, and they let us have access to some of their maintenance, their maintenance personnel and maintenance equipment, some of the planes that they had. We went on base, jumped up in the tower. It was really cool. If you've never seen St. Mary's County from the tower on base,
that's neat.
It's a beautiful way to view not only St. Mary's County, but you can look over and see Solomon's. It's actually a really cool view.
That's very cool.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm not a kid, but where do I sign up?
Yeah, I know. I know.
That sounds pretty fun.
It does.
We actually had a board this weekend where we did interviews for our level 2, which goes into ground training. So it's a 12-week class where the kids actually are trained using the FAA material to prepare them for the private pilot's written exam.
That's awesome.
So where do you find these kids?
Well, we work with some of the local high schools, and this year we actually widened our net. So it's a tri-county group.
Awesome.
So we have some from Calvert, some from here in St. Mary's, and we actually have a couple from Charles County.
Very cool.
So are you opening it to everyone, or are you really targeting and trying to find the underprivileged, folks that are out there?
Well, we're trying to give access to people who wouldn't typically have access to it.
Right.
So if you can go out and pay for it,
Right.
we're not necessarily our target audience, but we're not going to tell you no.
Right.
I mean, because
Right.
we
You want to
definitely-
encourage people
we want-
from every aspect.
Absolutely, and we want to encourage more participation in the aviation industry as a whole. Well, hopefully we can grow and start including more programs connected
What age
to
groups
drones.
are you working with?
16 to 19.
Okay.
That's a perfect age for that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's a good age because it's a segue. But I almost think, like, especially when it comes to, kids that are maybe in, under that poverty line, the younger age, it might be good to do something maybe on a smaller scale, because you can, basically plant the seed of hope and show them what's
Right.
out there. You know what I mean?
And so there are other programs that do something similar, just kind of exposing them to the aviation industry.
Yeah.
But this one is actually trying to get them to the license. So the problem that you
Right.
have when you go too young is the written test is only good for a certain amount of time.
Right.
So if you go under 15, then
So
then
this
they
is
have
going
to
to
retake
teach them to learn how to fly.
it to be a private pilot.
Okay.
That's
To
very cool.
That's really cool.
To secure their private pilot's license. I'm actually going through the class this year because I don't have a private pilot's
Yeah.
license. So I'm going to go get mine, and hopefully, was it next year this time? I'll have a,
We'll be doing the next show on the plane.
Come
That's
on.
right.
Right?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
The general manager at the Baynet, Pat, has his
Does he? That's
pilot's
very cool.
license. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many
I wanted to
programs
take
like
me up.
that's why I love that we get the chance to talk about these things because I'm assuming you've never heard of this
Nope.
program. I haven't either.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes this so great. We get to hear new things about new people
and now we can share it.
right.
Roger that.
But reach back and lift one. I mean, I can kind of relate to that.
Mm.
That's kind of my passion is always trying to figure out how I can help other people. You know
on.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
I dig it. And I see so many different things that you can do with what you've got there. That
Roger that.
platform can be so many things. Right now, it's this aviation piece, but I mean, we could do a real estate version.
Yeah,
of
there's
that.
so many things that we could do. I mean, really, and so
Absolutely.
many opportunities. We have so many people in Southern Maryland that could actually, really reach back and lift.
I would
you know.
love to have access to, high school kids that are looking for ways to better themselves or looking for pathways. Like, I would love the opportunity to be able to show young people what is possible. And I think that's really the key. And not just the go to college and then you can like, I want to show people, like, what is really possible,
Absolutely.
And we've
Have
talked
you-
about that.
Have you all connected with anybody at the community hub down in on Great Mills Road?
No.
No.
Are you familiar with the community
No.
hub?
Is that where the mission is, or near the mission, or?
The new mission right across the street from the new mission,
Gotcha.
and the new location right next to the sheriff.
The new sheriff's.
Right, the
there.
sheriff station right
Gotcha.
there. It's a partnership with
'Cause
the
I-
health department.
I heard about the hub.
Oh
Right,
yeah.
the health department, the sheriff
Yeah.
department,
Yeah.
and with
I did hear of this.
with
Yeah.
the school with the school board. It's really run by the health department. What they've done is brought a lot of groups together, and one of the things that they're trying to do is they're bringing an economic development. They're looking at the economic development side of public health. Right, so looking at ways to help people,
That makes sense.
making sure that they are connected on the economic side, right?
Yeah.
So there are financial literacy classes. They have a mentor program, and they actually contracted out to Caprice James out of Charles County.
County. Mhm.
Yeah, and she actually started Stella Girls. And she's actually reaching out to a lot of people here in the county. She's trying to get more mentors on her team down here in St. Mary's. She has a ton in Charles County, but she's expanding to make sure that she can support.
So that's a great
down here in
plug.
St.
They
Mary's.
can, I mean, if you,
Yeah.
if you're out there interested in being a mentor, then you can, that's something to look into for sure. And we could definitely,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to do something like that.
It would be awesome, man.
We can have y'all on board with Rebel One as we start to grow.
Love
Yeah.
it.
I'm trying to finalize some paperwork so we can get an apprenticeship program going down at Indian Head.
Okay.
I mean, that's That's not the easiest thing, but I
Right.
mean, it's a partner intermediary.
Is that with the
agreement.
base?
Oh yeah.
All right. Is that involving the Velocity Center at all, or?
Not with the Velocity Center, but it's one of the labs that they have there on
Gotcha.
base. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff happening up there at Indian Head right now.
absolutely.
And the
Yeah.
Velocity Center was a cool idea. The whole idea of taking U.S. government patent and technology and bringing it into the classroom, and then
Yeah.
letting essentially CSM kids come up with ways to commercialize it.
That's awesome.
The
Yeah.
idea was
It's a great
hopefully it
great
would
idea.
turn into a business
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
fact, but I don't think that's quite
Well,
materialized yet.
it's just
but-
hadn't had time yet. I think
Yeah.
it's still relatively new.
We had something that was pointed in that direction. Right before COVID, they had a tech port, and I mean it was going in that direction, but I don't think it had enough time to kind of materialize. We had a few companies that are still up and running, but they were connected with TechBridge. I think TechBridge is actually in that building over. Are you familiar with the TechPort building by the airport?
Yeah.
Yeah, so TechBridge is there, and TechBridge is the entity that brings that technology from the base out to the civilian world, so you can try to figure out ways to monetize that technology.
See, I told you he was into everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a little bit of everything
Well,
going on.
so I was going to go. No, we don't know each other, obviously. So, what is your background?
Well, I'm a West Point graduate, 2003. Beat Navy to all the Navy people here in the area. Special shout out to Scott Sanders. I spent time in the Army working, oddly enough, in Patriot missiles. So I shot planes down, and now I want to fly them.
Right.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
After I got out of the Army, I worked in. I use my education is economics and systems engineering.
Okay.
So I worked in Six Sigma for a little while, and then I got into project management. So now I do project management. I was in industrial, mainly oil and gas. Are you familiar with the Cove Point plant over?
Yeah.
So I was the planning director on that project when
Cool.
we did the expansion,
Nice.
making it a bi-directional facility. And that's when I fell in love with St. Mary's County.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
So is that how you landed here?
That is how I landed here. Yeah. So my older boys were in the area, and I wanted to get to a project that was close to them. Ended up moving here. Then I brought my boys here, and they're both one graduated from Great Mills, and one is about to graduate from Great Mills. So we I've been here since 2015.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool area. That's
Absolutely.
for sure. And I've always said it's a testament to our area how many people, usually military, transfer here, then retire and stay. So your story is similar.
Mhm.
Not necessarily military. You kind of sought the area out, but
Mhm.
you could go get a job wherever you want to right now, but you choose to stay. So that's cool.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned before that you wear some other hats too, right? So
Roger that.
what are some of those other hats?
One of the main ones. A lot of people know me from my time as the president of the local branch of the NAACP, St. Mary's County branch of the NAACP, Unit 7025.
Okay.
I guess I'm still the president. I'm finishing up the last year of my 4-year term. Well, my second 2-year term.
Right.
And I spent. I've been on the executive committee for about 8 years. So 7 years. So
Cool.
Very cool.
yeah, if you haven't done anything with the St. Mary's County NAACP, you should. They are doing some really cool. We are doing some really cool, really cool things out here. Especially our education, our health, and political action teams.
Yeah.
We actually we do a book. A backpack drive every year. We had a college and career fair every year. Started a 5K, and we have different health focused events out in some of our local parks. So I'm not sure if y'all heard about the Friday in the Park that was over in Lancaster Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we partnered with St. Annie's, and we hosted that, and we're trying to get that going again. And so we bring fitness companies or fitness related consultants and whatnot out there to just have fun.
Yeah.
So we had Zumba, we had spin,
Nice.
we were playing kickball. I mean, it was a good time.
That's awesome.
And so and really a lot of that, I know a lot of people like ask what does that have to do with anything, what anything related to the NAACP, but it's just us connecting with the community, and that's an essential connection needed if you're gonna advocate for the community, right? So it's building that informal bond with the community of St. Mary's County, just so we have good relationships with people who need to be fought for.
Those kinds of events foster relationships that will last for a lifetime, and especially if you're representing a constituency of some sort, right?
Right.
That's what it is, and having those kind of events brings everybody together.
Absolutely.
So I have 2 more questions, but I don't want to Is there any questions?
No, I mean I'm absorbing big time today because I think you're thinking about the mentorship programs that are available and having an opportunity, that's huge to me. I think that's really something that we need to do more of.
Yeah.
And
the funny part is like a lot of times one of the first things I heard when I got into the area, it was like, well, we need programs. We need programs for this. We need programs for this. But once you actually get out there and start working on your own program of trying to find resources to build one, you realize how many people are out there already working on something
doing
very
something.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have.
Yeah, you're working.
that's a really good point, though.
Instead of
because,
working together,
it seems like you do hear the cries for people saying we need more of this, we need more of that. But the truth is, a lot of it's happening.
Yeah.
A lot of it's going on right now.
And so many people are working
just not informed
in tandem, but they end up working against each other because
Right.
this person's taking this part of the population, this person's
Yeah.
taking this, instead of banding together. And I've always said that about like the chamber, being board chair of the chamber and being on the board for the last 6 years over in Calvert. And the thing there is that, at one point in time you had this group and this group and this group and this group, and it's like they all do what we do.
Right.
Why aren't we all together?
Doing it together,
Right. So
Yeah.
it was a big focus that we made in my time there, besides surviving COVID, was trying to consolidate some of those groups.
I think that's a huge weakness in the business community here. It's like
Yeah.
we don't really partner with
and communicate
enough with what we do.
And I'll
what we're
tell you,
doing.
as someone who has been on the board of a chamber for a long time, it's so hard to get people to come out and engage with each other.
Right.
Like that's the biggest challenge.
Right.
And it was nice. Like right after COVID kind of fizzled down a little bit, the event attendance went up.
Right.
It seems to kind of have settled back down.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we get more business people in a room, or more nonprofits in a room, and more people together to collaborate. I don't know. We got to pay them or something, or free pizza, or free
feed 'em
beer.
drinks.
Yeah. Drinks usually work.
Yeah. That's what that's why we're doing this podcast, right?
That's not why. That's not
Just
why.
Hold on.
Are you
Where the free drink?
I don't know. We don't have any today.
I came on the wrong day.
Yeah, you did.
funny.
So one more thing. What's in the future? What do you have for the future? I mean, you're obviously a forward-thinking guy.
That was one of my questions.
Oh, see?
So,
Look at that.
What's the vision?
Yeah. What is the vision? What is your vision for you? What's next?
Sometimes you don't want to tell people what you want to do. You know what? I'm an idea guy. Maybe somebody can steal my idea and run with it, right?
It's okay.
3 times a week, I go to the parking lot of the empty Ford dealership on Great Mills Road.
Yeah.
I get on my knees and I pray.
Okay.
I want that space to be become a makerspace. Like I want it to become like a training center. I think we can have pop-up shops in those garages. I'm trying to put in for earmarks, and if you I'm trying to put in for everything I can to make that a reality.
That's a good spot.
And
it's a
it's
great spot.
To add on to some of the resources that they're already placing in there. It's one of those things where we all know that area needs to be built and rebuilt.
Right.
And it needs a new energy right there in the center of Great Mills, and I'd love to be a part of that. And I want that to be a hub, something that can add on to what they're doing at the community.
Okay, so that's our world.
Yeah.
Right. That's easy. I mean, nothing to it. Let's do it. Let's
Right.
figure it out.
Okay.
And that's kind of where my head went. I was like, okay, that's simple enough.
Yeah,
But-
that's
yeah.
I know it
But
sounds
no,
crazy. That's the first thing I'm like, what
Yeah.
a great spot, great
we can do
idea.
it. Done.
We can figure it out.
You know who owns that space?
We can figure it out.
I don't know who
I don't
owns
know
it.
either.
That was just
I do.
curious.
Okay, we're gonna talk.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to throw them out there? Call them to action right now?
No, but it's a great opportunity, and honestly, I think you're right. That's something
Yeah.
that we could really, we
We
can have
could
an impact.
probably help with that.
Yeah.
And then, the other part of it is going to be raising funds for whatever you want to do
Yeah.
there.
Absolutely.
So that just requires a business plan. And if the vision's clear enough and the business plan's clear enough and we know exactly how many
Yeah.
dollars we need, then we just got to raise the dollars.
Figure the money out.
And that's not too hard to do either. So that's something
Right,
that
you
we
gotta
can
find the
help with
people.
too.
You know what?
So-
I really need more friends like you all.
It's all positivity, right?
That's right.
I was like, oh yeah. It's just
Yeah,
Let's
it's
do
just
it.
fun,
Figure it out.
whatever,
Figure it
you know,
out.
it's not a
No
problem.
big deal. Let's do it. No, I think there's enough folks out there that would support that.
Yeah, I do
cause,
too.
Both on the macro and micro levels. So I think you just got to, figure out what the dollar amount is that's necessary. Once we figure out that dollar amount, we just got to chomp it down and figure out how we're going to acquire it. So I think that
Yeah.
could be a
I
real
think
thing. And I dig it.
definitely.
I like, taking a vacant space on Great Mills Road and turning it into something that creates positive energy and shows kids that they got a way that they can go, so to speak, and gives some startups the ability to get off the ground. So
It's a great opportunity. So
Yeah.
we're going to work on that.
so my final question is, when did you acquire this passion for service, or when did you just decide, hey, I want to just start working on all these projects? Because to say that you go out there and you get on your knees and pray all the time, like, that shows the amount of passion that
Yeah,
you
that's
have.
right.
So my question is, like, when or how did that spark for you?
It's just been there. I come from a family that just loves our tribe. And to me, St. Mary's County is my tribe now, right? So it's once you become a part of my circle, I just want to do everything I can. My dad was a youth leader. My mom was a youth leader. I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and we had this group called the Pathfinders. So unfortunately, I keep on hearing people talk about Eagle Scouts and Boy Scouts and all that stuff, but we didn't really get that opportunity to do all that because we had our own version of it.
Right.
It was the Pathfinder. So my father was a Pathfinder leader, and my mom was the Adventist youth leader.
Sounds like a lot of it was caught.
Yeah.
Caught, not taught, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny moving around, from city to city on my working on projects and whatnot. It was like you just find ways. It was like how can I help?
Yeah.
And you just go around and you see people doing good work.
Yeah.
Like how can I help?
Right.
I
That's
like
awesome. Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I think it's a good point to wrap up. Like I wish we could.
I know
keep
we
talking,
could talk. I was just gonna say we could
I
keep
think
talking
we can go
forever.
for a long time.
Yeah, I think so
It's
too.
probably a good thing we don't have any drinks today. We probably went way over time. But
All
yeah.
right. Well, with that, we'll close it down. Thank you, BJ, for coming in here and hanging out with us. And
my pleasure.
And now I get to throw Mark under the bus and say,
Not under the bus. You're going to ask me where you can find us.
That's right. Where can you find us,
And
Mark?
that's going to be on the baynut.com/podcast. I think we have our own button on there, too. Also on the Baynet's Facebook page. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and our favorite is just to Google Get Real with Chris and Mark, and you can find
That's
us
the
there.
easiest way.
Yeah.
See, I was supposed to do a plug for my podcast.
Well, let's hear about it. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna be doing a show called In the Spirits.
Awesome.
Okay.
In the Spirits, and it's really about meeting good people, having good drinks,
Yeah.
and hearing good stories.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
awesome.
that.
Love it. Love it.
Sounds like a good time.
It does.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and
Appreciate
we'll
you.
see you next week.